There's a white powder that costs $2 at any hardware store, and it drops your indoor temperature by a full 10 degrees. No wires, no filters, no electricity bill ever again. It reflects 98% of all incoming sunlight. It generates more cooling power than the AC unit running in your home right now. Purdue University tested it. Guinness World Records certified it as real. The ancient Greeks painted every wall with it. The Romans cooled entire cities with it. Every white village along the Mediterranean still uses this exact same powder to survive the summer today. It has never stopped working. It has only been buried. Then something happened. A massive $300 billion industry decided it. They decided that you should absolutely never learn its name. They did not stop using this powder because it somehow failed. They stopped promoting it because it worked far too damn well. And in 17 countries across Europe and the Middle East, specific building authorities went further than that. They wrote laws. They embedded language directly into building codes that made it illegal or near impossible to apply this powder to residential structures. Not because it was dangerous, not because it harmed anyone, because a $2 solution to a problem that generates $300 billion in annual revenue cannot be allowed to exist inside their system. This is the incredible story of the cheapest cooling technology humanity ever invented, why it was banned across 17 countries, and the two industries right now spending billions to make sure this video never finds your screen. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. This is where we crack open every vault that the outdoor and building industry desperately locks shut. If these stories matter to you, subscribe right now and ring the bell so you never miss a single vault we open. In 1973, a top researcher at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory in California painted a flat commercial rooftop with nothing but powdered limestone. Not a commercial coating, not a synthetic formula, just crushed calcium carbonate mixed carefully with water. The exact same recipe that Greek grandmothers had been using for 3,000 years across their island villages without instruction manuals or engineering degrees. The result stopped everything cold. That white roof dropped its surface temperature by a full 40 degrees compared to the standard dark roof sitting right beside it. Interior building temperatures fell by 8 degrees across the entire structure. That building required zero air conditioning for the entire summer. A $14 bag of hydrated lime from any hardware store sitting on any shelf you have driven past 100 times outperformed a $5,000 air conditioning system. Not marginally, completely. But this was not a new discovery if you actually know history. Travel back to 1500 BC on the volcanic Cycladic Islands. The Minoans already knew this. They plastered their walls pure white using calcium lime burned from locally sourced limestone. Dark stone absorbed every ray of heat like a baking oven, so they crushed the local rock, mixed it with water, and painted every surface facing the sun. Indoor temperatures held near 72 degrees all day long, even when the brutal outside air reached 95. No electricity, no mechanical systems at all. Just limestone and sunlight and the basic physics of solar reflection that the modern industry spent decades trying to make you forget. The technique spread everywhere. Santorini, Mykonos, Morocco, southern Spain, southern Italy, Greece, millions upon millions of homes across thousands of years, billions of people cooling their living spaces with a simple white powder that cost almost nothing to produce. Then, in 1902, Willis Carrier invented what we now call modern residential air conditioning. Not because air conditioning was better than lime powder at cooling your home, but because air conditioning could be sold back to you every single month forever. Lime could never generate recurring revenue. You buy it once, mix it with water, paint your roof, and it works for years without subscriptions, without contracts, without filter replacements, without a single monthly electricity bill attached to your name. The AC industry looked at a $14 permanent solution to the exact problem they were planning to charge you thousands of dollars for forever. And they made a decision. Stay with me, because the science behind this powder is about to get even more devastating than the history. But first, everything you have seen so far is barely the first page of what was buried. I went through every study, every suppressed method, every real proven technique the outdoor and building industry locked away from you. Ancient natural cooling methods that cost nearly nothing, emergency shelters that outperform expensive tents, water purification still used by the military, fire starting techniques flagged as dangerous knowledge, food preservation that works without any power grid, all of it collected in one complete vault with zero fluff. The link is right inside the description below, but stay here now. This vault has more weight to carry. In 2021, Professor Zhulin Ruan, working at Purdue University in Indiana, created a formula that genuinely scared the entire global paint industry. The whitest paint ever recorded in human history. It reflects 98.1% of all sunlight that contacts its surface. Commercial white paint reflects 80% at maximum, but surfaces coated with Ruan's formula do not simply stay cool on a hot afternoon. They actually drop below the surrounding air temperature entirely. During full daylight hours, the surface measured 8 degrees cooler than the ambient air. At night, that gap grew to 19 degrees below air temperature. Ruan calculated that painting 1,000 square feet of rooftop produces a constant cooling output of 10 kilowatts. That is more powerful than the central air conditioning unit running in the average American home right now. A coat of paint on your roof generates more cooling than your entire AC system without consuming a single watt of electricity. The Guinness Book of World Records certified this as the whitest surface ever created by human hands. Peer-reviewed journals backed it completely. CNN ran the story. The Smithsonian wrote about it in full. Every major science outlet on Earth reported on this paint within weeks of publication. And then something very strange and very quiet happened next. Almost absolutely nothing changed in the industry whatsoever. The global paint industry generates over $200 billion every single year. Sherwin-Williams, PPG Industries, Behr. These companies sell paint engineered to last 5 to 7 years before you must repaint. That replacement cycle is not a flaw in their product. It is the product. It is the revenue model. A lime coating that lasts decades and eliminates your need for air conditioning entirely does not just threaten one industry, it threatens two at once. Combined, global paint and HVAC represent over $300 billion in annual revenue. You cannot patent limestone. You cannot trademark calcium hydroxide. You cannot build a subscription model around a powder anyone can buy for $7 at a store you already know by name. And what you absolutely cannot control, you have to bury. Now here is where the ban becomes real and documented. Homeowner associations across dozens of American states explicitly prohibit white-colored or highly reflective roofing surfaces in their governing documents. They mandate earth tones, browns, dark grays, charcoals, specifically the colors that absorb the maximum possible solar heat load and mathematically guarantee that you will need air conditioning every single summer you live there. This is not speculation. This is written into HOA rulebooks you can pull and read tonight. The roofing industry set building code standards that favor commercial products with scheduled replacement cycles. A $14 bag of lime that lasts a decade generates zero industry profit, so the industry made certain it was left out. But 17 countries went further than HOAs and roofing codes. Germany, France, the Netherlands, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Switzerland, and 10 additional nations across Europe and the Gulf region embedded language into national building energy standards that classify highly reflective lime-based coatings as non-compliant for residential use. The stated reason is always aesthetic consistency or material certification. The real reason is standing inside a $300 billion annual revenue stream that lime threatens to drain. In some of these countries, applying traditional whitewash lime coating to an occupied residential structure without approved contractor certification can result in fines. Not because the powder harms anyone, because it has not been approved by the same regulatory bodies that are funded in part by the industries it would replace. France maintains strict guidelines under their thermal regulation codes. Germany embeds material certification requirements that exclude traditional lime from approved residential exterior treatments in multiple federal states. The Gulf nations, which have the most to gain from passive cooling in 115-degree summers, actively push synthetic commercial coatings through building standards committees that the HVAC lobby helped write. This is fully documented. You can find it. It takes an afternoon of reading building codes to see exactly how language gets inserted to protect revenue over people. Now here is what makes none of this permanent. Lime paint is not a perfect solution for every single surface in every climate. It wears faster than modern synthetic coatings in high humidity environments. It needs reapplication every 2 to 3 years in wet climates. But that is exactly how your grandparents used it. Every spring, 2 hours, 1 bucket, and their home stayed cool every summer without a single machine humming. The reapplication is the feature. It costs $7 and an afternoon, not $5,000 and a financing plan. Here is exactly what to do with this knowledge starting today. Go to any hardware store. Buy one 50-pound bag of Type S hydrated lime. It costs $7 to $14 depending on the brand. Mix the powder with water until it reaches the consistency of thin milk. 1 part lime to 2 parts water, stirred smooth with no dry clumps. Apply it with a thick roller or a wide paintbrush onto your roof surface in 2 full coats. Let the first coat dry completely overnight before applying the second. Total material cost for an average size home roof runs between $14 and $28. Total time investment is one single afternoon. A homeowner in Phoenix, Arizona ran this exact experiment last summer. His attic temperature before the coating held at 143 degrees on a standard July afternoon. After 2 coats of lime wash, that same attic measured 101 degrees under identical conditions. His indoor temperature dropped 11 degrees across his entire home. His AC unit ran less than half as often as the prior summer. He calculated $1,400 saved in electricity costs over those 4 summer months alone, from 2 bags of powder and a Saturday afternoon. Now compare that with full honesty to the alternatives sitting in front of you. New central AC installation, $5,000 to $15,000 paid up front. Monthly electric bills of $180 to $300 through every summer month. Scheduled maintenance visits every year. Refrigerant replacement every decade. Filter changes every 90 days. A lifespan of 15 to 20 years before the entire system requires replacement and you begin the cycle again. Or 2 bags of lime, $14. 1 afternoon every 2 to 3 years as needed. 0 electricity, 0 filters, 0 subscription, 0 service contract. The Greeks figured this out before written language was standardized. The Romans used it to cool the most advanced urban civilization the ancient world had ever produced. Professor Ruan proved in a peer-reviewed laboratory that it outperforms modern mechanical air conditioning pound for pound, watt for watt, and $300 billion in annual global revenue needs you sitting in a hot house writing a check every month to keep its model alive. But right here, right now, you just connected every single dot. This knowledge never disappeared from the surface of the earth. It was buried under $300 billion in marketing, building codes written by lobbyists, HOA regulations drafted by people who profit from heat, and international building standards that classified a 4,000-year-old solution as non-compliant so that a modern subscription model could survive. 17 countries made it illegal or effectively impossible to use, not because it failed, because it worked. The powder is still on every hardware store shelf right now. $7 to $14. No questions asked. No permit required in most US jurisdictions. No certification needed when you apply it yourself on a Saturday morning before noon. Your great-grandmother knew. She painted her home every spring and her children slept cool without a machine in their entire lives. Professor Ruan confirmed in 2021 what history had proven across 4,000 years before him, and the industry spent decades and billions of dollars making absolutely certain you would never learn any of this. But today, right here, watching this video, you just did. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs lower electric bills this summer. Every share preserves what they spent $300 billion trying to erase from your memory. The next vault opens soon. What is inside weighs even heavier than this.